I'm new here, so that's fine.
Your maiden speech,
Yes.
perhaps.
Thank you, sir.
You can take 15 minutes.
So I work on television where we do things short, so 7-8 minutes will be okay. Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, the circle of life is indeed an intriguing and fascinating subject. And I myself have experienced this circle of life sitting here yesterday in this August House, where 52 of my senior colleagues bid goodbye. And sitting here in the back benches, I heard them with great interest. And the more I heard, the more I learnt that there was so much to be learnt from the experience here for 6 years. May I first bid a warm goodbye to those who are saying goodbye, with the wish that we see them here soon. And this indeed is the circle of life, because after 52 members retired or moved on yesterday, here is a new member making his first speech in this August House. Sir, I've been moved to make my maiden speech on this subject for a few reasons. First, a personal reason, and then professional reasons. On the personal reason front, in this wondrous democracy, I represent the state of Bengal, a state which has just emerged from a long and desperate battle for true freedom and for true democracy. It is indeed a wondrous democracy because I belong to a community which in the entire country has about 1 lakh people, just 100,000. It's a small community called the Anglo-Indian community. I don't represent the Anglo-Indian community here, I represent the state of Bengal. But the Anglo-Indian community has a long and glorious history of being associated with the Indian Railways. In fact, not only associated, some say they played a glorious role in building the Indian Railways with railway colonies from Chakradharpur to Kharagpur to Bilaspur. So it's a matter of great pride that I have the privilege of speaking on this subject today. And at a very personal level, my mother will be more happy today than my father, because her entire family for the last 2 generations, they only worked in one organization, that is the Indian Railways. On the professional front, why I say I am indeed privileged to make my maiden speech on the Indian Railways is because my first quote-unquote public assignment was given to me by the former Railway Minister, Ms. Mamta Banerjee, in 2009. And I had never been in any public office before that. I was in politics for 9 years, but that was my first public office for 2 years, from 2009 to 2011. And I had to resigned from that post in 2011 because after that I became a member of parliament. And that was indeed where one got an opportunity to understand, to learn, and to listen to a lot of what the Indian Railways had to do and what they had to offer. I was made the chairman of the Passenger Services Committee, and in my tenure there for 2 years, I had the good fortune of traveling to 13 of the 17 railway divisions. Actually, originally there were 16 divisions and the Kolkata Metro got added and it became a 17th division. So those 2 years were great learning years and great years to, in a small way, understand what the Indian Railways was all about. Sir, may I quote just from the budget speech? I would like to reiterate my strong conviction and belief in the phrase, "safety never sleeps," as emphasized by Mamta Banerjee all along. This was from the budget speech. I think that safety is a core issue of the Indian Railways. Of that, there can be absolutely no doubt. This is not something which has suddenly sprouted in the last 1 week or 1 month, but it is an area of focus now for many, many years. So, like the Railway Safety Authority or the anti-collision devices or the early train warning systems which have been piloted in certain zones, these safety measures are indeed most welcome. The argument that raising passenger fares will solve all problems of safety is a facetious argument. It is an absurd argument, and it is an argument which borders on gimmickry. 4,000 crores is what raising passenger fares would bring into the railways, and I think we need to look elsewhere to raise 4,000 crores. I have two other issues of trying or debunking this argument put forth, where safety equals passenger safety, passenger fares going up will make safety disappear. Two things. One, think about those passengers traveling from far-flung places. Let's say a Guwahati who's going to Bangalore, or an Imphal who's going to Trivandrum. The further you travel, the more you pay. Telescopic rate structuring, or better still, would have been a much better option. And the second one, which has caused me much hurt and caused us much concern, is when you have to present something, gimmicks last for a few days. Ideas and big ideas endure the test of time. It is almost like saying that the price of mango has gone up by 4 paisa, when actually, if you look at the fine print, then you will find the mango has not gone up by 4 paisa on a 40 rupee kg. 10 grams of mango has gone up. So there are issues there, not only with the content, but in terms of the manner in which it is presented. And there is no question about it that the fares of the common, which affect the most common people, and this is not once a week, this is not for their holiday which they go once every 1 year. This is for that daily passenger who boards the Bardhaman local every day, 6 days a week. That fare is for someone who boards the Virar fast and goes from Churchgate to Virar, or to Panvel, or who hops on from Kanjivaram and Egmore station and then changes his train every day via Central. These are very serious issues. There is no question of touching those fares, and all in the guise of increasing 4,000 or bringing in revenue of 4,000 crores of rupees, and worse still, set up a travel regulatory authority to empower them to take away the power of the Indian Railways. Mr. Chairman, sir, so much on the passenger fares and why they need not to be touched, and so much on the point that you cannot use this facetious argument of saying that once you increase passenger fares, all your safety will go out. Let me make some positive suggestions as to how 4,000 crores, in fact, is a fair target, how you can actually get to 4,000 crores without upsetting passengers and the common people. Sir, over the years, the railways has allowed itself to be marginalized in the freight business. And my humble submission today is the railways need to relook at freight. There needs to be a paradigm shift in how the railways look at the freight business. Now, 2/3 of the railways freight business. Sir, I'm not a technical person, but I've understood this over the years, and I would urge every honorable member of this House to hear me with a little bit of patience, sir, through you, because this is the actual core issue about freight. Now, freight business in the railways, if you want to move goods from A to B, you would need your goods to be at least 3,500 to 4,000 tons. Now, that's a lot of tonnage. The railways are losing business to, like, the road transport and other transporters. Why? Because to book a railway wagon, you can't book one railway wagon. One railway wagon means you want to move about 60 tons of goods. If you want to book, let's say, even 300 tons of goods, you want to move it from point A to point B, you have to book 5 railway wagons. Are you allowed to do that? No. Why? Because the Indian Railways has a rule. It says bulk, 3,500 to 4,000. Just to give you an example, the Food Corporation of India moves 45 million tons of food grain. What is the total number of food grain, the total weight of the food grain moving across the country? 250 million tons. Sir, my submission is that is a great area where the railways can look for 4,000 crores. 45 million as opposed to 250 million. Look at cement. Cement now moves about 90 million tons through the railway network, and the total cement moving is about 230, 240 million tons. So the first and the focus area, may I humbly submit, sir, is what we call a roll-on, roll-off experiment. A roll-on, roll-off experiment, this has already happened on the Konkan Railway. This allows loaded trucks to be carried by the railways. And if this is handled properly, this can be a solution to an intractable problem of losing block traffic to road consistently. Now, then the people who are moving traffic by road actually become your partners. They become your collaborators. And together, they move together. Sir, in its white paper, the Indian Railways, in fact, had committed itself to achieve an annual growth of 10% in its freight business. The budget has also laid emphasis at 10%. But surprisingly, the freight target set in the budget is 1,000 million tons. This reflects a growth, sir, of not 10%, of not 9%, but a growth of 5.7%. And therein lies the problem, and that is why I would urge the new railway minister to focus on the freight, not to increase the freight rates as they are rationalized, they're fine, but to use more innovative ideas to try and make the freight bring in more revenue. Sir, there is also this issue of Railway Board. The Railway Board already has members. There are in fact 2 proposals lying there, one for a railway member stores and signals. These have been lying there, I believe, for the last 10 years. Those 2 Railway Board slots have not been filled. And now we come up with an idea which says now you put someone for marketing and public-private partnership. That will again add to the confusion, and it will not be of any use. In the last point I want to make, sir, before I sum up. So I said, just to sum up, the first one was about the passenger fares need to come down. We cannot burden the poor. Do not link the hike of passenger fares to sell an argument of safety. No right-thinking person will make safety a second priority. It is safety which is a priority, but not at the expense of putting up passenger fares. The second one is to please use innovative methods in freight in the existing environment. And the third, sir, is something even more basic. Is the Indian Railways, and I put this question through you, sir, because this is the question which we really need to ask ourselves. Is the Indian Railways a commercial entity alone, or does the Indian Railways also have a role of playing a part in corporate social responsibility? This is very, very clear, sir, that the Indian Railways has a social role to play. There is so many companies today who are putting away 3% and 4% of their...
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I know you made a speech, but it's...
Sir, 1 minute.
Now you please...
1 minute.
Yeah.
Sir, there are many private even companies who put away 1%, 2% of their turnover for corporate social responsibility. So that can easily be done. So this 3,000, 4,000 crores is no big deal. Sir, to conclude, when we are doing the railway budget and we are going forward, I would urge the new minister to open his eyes, which perhaps has been done, to open his mind, which perhaps has been done, but more crucially, for the people of this country to open our hearts. Thank you, sir.